The Big Ten is leading the way, creating a revenue share plan for the players. And it's not because they want to, it's for their own survival. I'll explain, and it's happening fast. Locked On Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, coming up on 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer. And I want to thank you for making us your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit it, I have a competitive side, and I'm a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go now, free on the App Store or Google Play. All right, we talked about why this revenue sharing plan, it's separate from nil, why it's such a big deal, and how it's just steamrolling ahead. And the Big Ten's at ground zero of all this. And by the way, which Penn State football player will go number one in the NFL draft next year? Plus, we have our power rankings following spring football. We've readjusted a few things. We'll share that for you, see where your team ends up on this list. But a story has come out about the very nature and existence of college football and athletics. And the Big Ten is ground zero for developing a revenue sharing plan with student athletes. This change would rock college athletics, rock it to its foundation. Now, it's a little wonky, it's a little complicated, a little bit of legalese. I've gone over this story several times to make sure I understand it, can simple it down and boil it down to a couple of points for you here and put it in a form where, you know, this is a pretty good podcast, because sometimes legalese stuff can be a little boring. This is not boring. You've got to check this out. I'm going to accomplish that here for you because it's something you need to know. Athletics will never be the same again. And again, it's happening soon. The Big Ten, with other conferences, they're calling this vague revenue sharing plan. They don't have all the details yet. They're calling it the modern model. Now, this modern model has two goals. Number one, it will share revenue with the players. And you and I know that there are hundreds of millions of dollars out there to share just from the media deals alone with the conferences and the schools and all that. Number two, this model may also settle the House versus the NCAA lawsuit. Maybe you've heard about this, maybe you haven't. It's scheduled to go to trial in January. The House versus the NCAA is an antitrust suit. It's a class action lawsuit. It says the NCAA and the Power 5 and Power 4 conferences have conspired to suppress compensation for athletes. That's a serious accusation. Of course, athletes have been working for free for a long time. Any settlement in this lawsuit could cost each school $15 to $20 million. It's a lot of schools. There's a lot of athletes. This is a lot of money. In fact, athletic directors are throwing fits right now, trying to put their budgets together for 2025, and they're told you better have a line item on there that's for $15 to $20 million, because that's what each school is going to have to pay out in this deal, because they're going to lose unless there's some sort of settlement. But even in that, they'll lose. Again, it's a lot of money on the bottom line here. Some schools have that kind of coin just sitting around. Others going to have to rearrange some stuff. They simply don't have it. Going to have to find a way to come up with up to $20 million. So from an outsider looking in, it appears that the Power 4 schools, they're in panic mode right now. They're in deep discussions trying to come up with some sort of revenue sharing plan with the athletes and minimize future damages here. Truth be told, they, along with the NCAA, which is a toothless organization, they should have done this years ago. The NCAA just put its head in the sand, hoped it would go away, and now this whole nil thing has exploded, and there have been lawsuits for that. The NCAA has been losing lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit, been deemed illegal the way they've been operating the amateur status of athletes for years. I've made multiple reports that, you know, it's not necessarily the schools, they're not clear where this money is going to come from or who it will be handed to in this revenue share plan. Well, this is just me spitballing here, but it's going to come from all that TV revenue that we talk about here all the time. You know how the Big Ten gets $70 to $100 million a year from its media? That's where the money is going to come from to go pay these players. It has to. I mean, duh. So players, they have felt like free employees for decades, while the power conferences and the athletic departments and the NCAA, they've all hauled in millions of dollars. Now, back in the day, it was good enough to exchange a free scholarship, offer tuition, and a chance to show your skills nationally, and maybe you'll get to take your athletic prowess to the next level and earn a living as a professional athlete. That was the deal. Free tuition, chance to show, a place to for you to play and show your stuff. And that's not good enough anymore. Now, all that better moving forward better come with a wad of cash. Again, this is separate from name, image, and likeness, where these kids have been getting paid lately. Like, it's like real life. NIL is like real life. It's each man or each woman, each athlete for him or herself. If you're marketable, because everybody loves to watch you, if you're Caitlin Clark or if you're a quarterback for a starting team, you're marketable and you can go get paid. You can have other companies pay you to represent them in commercials and whatnot, right? So what we're talking about here is some sort of payment for services directly from the universities or the conferences to the players, like real employees, like a real job. Okay. Remember, when Locked On Big Ten right here, we did a podcast back in February about the Big Ten and the SEC's announcement that they were going to form a joint advisory group, right? Now they said, we're not a super conference. We're just a joint advisory group. Don't worry, nothing to see here. Well, they were discussing the future of college athletics, and this right here, this is what they were talking about. So mark my words, the Big Ten and the SEC with their joint alliance here, they're going to carry a lot more weight than the other Big 12 and the ACC conferences or the Group of Five conferences in deciding how this plays out and who gets how much money. You don't think so? Well, the Big Ten and the SEC just steamrolled everybody on the rules for the new 12-team playoff, and how the Big Ten and the SEC get all the advantages because they think they bring in all the money, which they do. You don't think they're going to take control of this situation too? Yeah, they are right now before your very eyes. They're hoping to come up with a plan to take to the plaintiffs in the House versus NCAA case and say, hey, look, all right, things are changing fast on us. We're a little behind the eight ball here. Here's what we've come up with. Take this lucrative plan as part of the outcome of the suit moving forward and maybe be nice to us. That's what this is about. Now, whatever decision comes out of this case, it's part of an antitrust case. That means damages could be tripled. Yikes. Some have estimated that this deal, if it sees a jury and the NCAA comes out on the short end, the NCAA could possibly be on the hook for $4.2 billion at a minimum. USA Today reported there are 7,000 current and past athletes that could get a piece of this pie. The NCAA has been coming out on the losing end of a lot of lawsuits lately. That's why we have all this name, image, and likeness just going rampant all over. There's no rules. Some play by these rules and some play by these rules. It's because they've been losing all these cases because they weren't prepared for it. Again, they put their head in the sand and just let it happen. Look, it was going to happen, but it needed to happen in a uniform fashion, and it hasn't. CBS is reporting that this case could actually end the NCAA. They're toothless. They're neutered anyway. If the NCAA goes away, right now things are being run by the conferences as far as I'm concerned. Really, the last thing that the NCAA has its hands on is March Madness and the NCAA tournament. That's their deal. But football, college football playoffs, that's a conference deal with the networks. The NCAA really doesn't have anything to do with it. And that's the direction we're going. So, and by the way, there are like at least 3 other big time antitrust lawsuits coming against the NCAA. It's going to bury them. This is why the Big Ten and also the SEC, they've been grabbing more power lately. You've noticed this. We've talked about it here. They're calling more of the shots regarding college athletics over just the past few years and the playoffs for football, all that. They're taking control of this situation. Again, the NCAA's buried its head in the sand too long with college athletics. And specifically football. You just look how much football has changed over just the last 2 or 3 years. It's because the Big Ten In the SEC, they're being proactive on some of this stuff, moving away from the NCAA and taking charge. And it's getting bigger. There's more money at stake. And this is the direction we're going here. So the Big Ten and the SEC, they're just trying to position themselves so that they don't go down with the ship with the NCAA. Again, this is a very thumbnail description of a very complicated topic that is going to be forefront in the news. And I just wanted you to be aware of it. Many of you already are. Just a few more details here that we wanted to talk about here on this podcast. Look, I admit it's not a sexy topic. It's not like a top 5 matchup on a Saturday night. It's not like a good quarterback controversy. But this story, as it develops, will affect every athletic department and every conference in the country moving forward. All right. Hey, if you like the stuff we do here today or any other day, tell your friends about us and subscribe. That helps us out a lot. Puts you and me together every single day. We got a Big Ten in interest, a common interest here. Let's subscribe and we'll be together every day. You can follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. That way you'll get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. Our audio versions come out at 4:00 a.m. Eastern. If you are audio only on your podcast, if you watch it on video on YouTube, it comes out at 6 a.m. Eastern every day. Back to the sexy stuff. All right, we're going to talk a little football here. We're going to focus a little bit on Penn State first. And the reason why is Vegas odds makers already have odds for who's going to be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. And there's a Penn State player that's climbing the list. It's not their quarterback. Plus, we'll have our post-spring football power rankings. Some things have changed. Lots been going on. So we always do the power rankings during football season. I thought I'd bring one out today. I've readjusted some things based on what I saw at spring football. We'll see where your team ends up. You want to hang on and catch all that. It's coming up right here. All 18 teams, by the way. It's all coming up here in 1 minute on Locked On Big Ten. It's winner take all time in the NBA and the NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Feels good when it happens. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, a whole bunch of stuff. Visit FanDuel.com/locked on and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Got some action tonight in the NBA. I say the Celtics finish off the Heat here. I know Porzingis got hurt. Heat have been without Jimmy Bucket. Big point spread on this one. It's a lot of points, 13.5, but I think the Celtics finish off the Heat on this one tonight. The Mavs and the Clips. Oh, this is a tough one. This series is all tied at 2. Dallas is a 2.5 point favorite. It's at Los Angeles. I'm going to take the Clippers on this one tonight. All right. You do what you want, but you got to do it at FanDuel. FanDuel.com/locked on and make every playoff shot count. I want to thank everybody for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day, especially you everydayers out there. Meanwhile, be sure to subscribe. And you can share and follow and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. By the way, take a perusal at our website, talkbig1010.com. We've got merch there, and all of our podcasts are there chronologically and by school or team to make it easy for you. We're going to talk about Penn State here. You want to go find stories that we focus on with Penn State? Just go to Penn State. Boom. They're right there. Check it out. Talkbig1010.com. So for those of you like me who think Penn State former wide receiver Keandre Lambert-Smith hitting the transfer portal was a big deal, it was a big deal in not a good way, though. I got some good news for you. Quarterback Drew Allar is doing an interview this week, and he says he likes Liam Clifford and Caden Saunders. All right, he's expecting big things out of them this year. That's good because the vertical passing game at Penn State absolutely disappeared last year, and it's mostly why James Franklin hired Andy Kotelnicki as his new offensive coordinator. But Allar particularly likes Clifford and the way he's been playing here this spring. And don't forget, along with Ohio State transfer Julian Fleming, he is hopeful that the Nittany Lions can have a vertical passing attack in 2024. We'll see. Nittany Lion fans, we are. Keep your fingers crossed. We'll see what happens with this offense. But Drew Allar's got to step up big too this year. It's not just the receivers. And I think with a new offensive coordinator, Allar being dedicated and as talented as he is, any help from the wide receivers that can make a big difference for Penn State. Speaking of Penn State, the NFL draft just concluded last week. Vegas odds are out already about who the first pick of the draft is going to be in 2025. Many think that Deion's kid, the quarterback, Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado, that he'll be the number one pick. Now, this could change up and down. These will change a lot. I don't know about that yet. So there are some other candidates, including Drew Allar, you can get odds for whether he's going to be the number one pick of the draft. Again, he's got to really step up, I think. You got to pick up his game to an entirely different level to get there. But another name familiar to Nittany Lions fans, he's rising, and it's the pass rusher Abdul Carter. Abdul Carter. Yeah, a lot of people like to compare him to Micah Parsons. That's pretty good. Again, for me, it's way too early. But for the record, Penn State has had 6 players go in the top 3 of the draft. Only 2 Penn State players have gone number 1. Can you name them? Kajana Carter, 1995, right? Who else? Courtney Brown. That's right, 2000. Carter, he's 6'3", 250 pounds. And don't forget, he's got new defensive coordinator Tom Allen, former Indiana coach, grooming him for success. Tom Allen, I know he struggled at the back half of his career at India, but he really is a good defensive coach. And I think he's excited to work with some of this talent at Penn State. So got a couple of Penn State stories for you. One offense, one defense for you here today. Back to the regular stuff after talking about lawsuits and money and all that kind of stuff. Are you one that watches daytime sports TV? Maybe you work from home or you got a TV screen on and it's Fox Sports or ESPN TV all day. All those talking heads, all those shouting and talking over each other. You got to turn the volume down on it. But I got a better idea for you. Switch to Locked On Sports today. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, news, and streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, which we discuss periodically here on this podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Like I told you, I have gone back midweek. We always do power rankings, no matter what season it is. It's not always football. We rank a lot of stuff here. But I'm going to go back and power rank all 18, including the 4 new ones, Big Ten teams, football, based on what I saw this spring, based on portal news, who's playing well, who impressed people, injuries, all that. We're going to put it all together. I'm going to give you 1 through 18. Some of it may surprise you. Hang around, find out where your team is on all this. It's coming up in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. Monopoly Go. You've heard about it. We've talked about it. Y'all played Monopoly as a kid, right? Well, this is a different version that's going to blow you away. Monopoly Go. Monopoly Go. You can team up with friends, time tournaments all over the globe, all right there at your fingertips, where you work together to build up each other's boards. And the more you win together, the more awesome prizes you can unlock down the road. It's a lot to get. You get these unique stickers. You can trade with a friend. You can complete sticker albums and then exchange for big prizes. They have cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with. Hilarious emojis you can send to your friends. You can taunt them, tease them, all that kind of stuff. You can smash their buildings. You can heist their vaults. A lot of fun stuff on it. It's a lot different than what you played with Monopoly as a kid. This is Monopoly Go. Monopoly Go. It feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. And they got your own unique mini games, digging for treasure. And there's always a new timed events along the way that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. A lot of surprises along the way. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench and go download it right now for free on Google Play or the App Store. It's game on again with Monopoly Go. All right, I want to get into this now. Our power rankings, football teams post spring football, post spring games. Where does your team rank on this list? If you're audio only, I'll describe it to you in detail on if you're just listening. But I'm gonna put this on screen. So here we go. Here we go. All right, there's the list. Post spring football power rankings. I'll explain why and what we're doing here. I'm putting the Ohio State Buckeyes at number 1. And I still think they have an intriguing situation at quarterback with Will Howard. Don't forget they got Caleb Downs coming in at safety. This team is loaded. They retained a lot of players that were maybe on the fence about going to the NFL. Got them some nil money to stay. Ryan Day's team is ready. They're ready to go. So they just got to do it. And number 2, I'm putting the Oregon Ducks. Dan Lanning, Dylan Gabriel. I think they're loaded. They're gonna come over into the Big Ten, and they're gonna do well. They are gonna do, and they have their eyesight of coming into the Big Ten and beating everybody and winning the whole thing. That's what they think they're gonna do. Oregon number 2, very good. Put Michigan at number 3. This is a depleted team. They had 13 players drafted by the NFL. I think another 5 signed free agent contracts. But you know what? There's more talent here than most people think. I am not ready to write off Michigan. Yeah, they're not as good as last year. There'll be a little bit of a step back, but they're still going to be in the mix for the Big Ten. Do not overlook them. I don't think they'll fall that much. At number 4, I got the USC Trojans. Lincoln Riley coming to the Big Ten. He's got a new defensive coordinator because he knows you got to have some defense to play the Big Ten with Danton Lynn. He got from UCLA across town. And quarterback Miller Moss. Was he a flash in the pan with the 6 touchdowns in the Holiday Bowl? Or is he the real deal? Going to find out. I think USC at number 4 in our power rankings. At number 5, you got Penn State. Just talked about them. Andy Kotelnicki, the new offensive coordinator, Drew Allar. See if they're going to make a difference this year. Or are they going to be, just a 2-loss team that's really, 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 really good? You know what? If they go 10-2 again this year, they're going to be in the 12-team playoff. So you got that going for you. Number 6. I'm fascinated with Dylan Raiola, the 5-star freshman. Looked good in spring ball. Matt Rule's excited. This is a good football team. They get quarterback solved. Nebraska, going to be formidable. Got him at number 6. Wisconsin, Luke Fickell. If he figures out his quarterback battle, I got them at number 7. Got the Iowa Hawkeyes. Look, I got them at 8. They could be higher. They could be lower. Kirk Ferentz, I got a lot of respect for him. Their best player, Cooper DeJean, is gone. Their all-world punter is gone. We'll see. Offensive coordinator Tim Lester taking over for Brian Ferentz. See if it makes a big difference for the Hawkeyes this year. At number 9, I've got Rutgers. Greg Schiano's got this program at a nice level. Can he take it to the next step now? Win 7 or 8 games? We'll see. Cal Monungai, fantastic running back. I am curious about this quarterback situation between Gavin Wimsatt and Ethan Kaliak-Manis, the transfer from Minnesota. I think maybe they both play. Kaliak-Manis, a little bit of a better passer. Wimsatt really can run an offense and literally run. It'll be interesting. Number 10, I've got Illinois. And a lot of people, I've seen some projections for the Big Ten, and a lot of people have Illinois at like the bottom or like 16th. I'm bullish on Luke Altmaier at quarterback this year. Tell me I'm wrong. I don't know. All right, let's see what else we got. The best of the rest. Still a lot more. You get to 1 through 10 in the Big Ten. You still got 8 more to go. Washington Huskies. Remember, Jed Fish is in there and for Kalen DeBoer. Will Rogers taking over from Michael Penix Jr., the new Atlanta Falcon. I'm going to be interested to see where they go. They basically replaced everybody. Michigan State, I got them at number 12 with Jonathan Smith. How will he and quarterback Aiden Childs do? Don't forget they got Jack Velling, the tight end. I think they'll be improved. Matter, how much though? Are they like 2 years away? That's what we have to find out here with Michigan State. Number 13, Maryland. I don't know that they have an answer for Talia Tagovailoa, who's gone at quarterback. MJ Morris at NC State. I don't think he looked fantastic this spring yet. Minnesota's PJ Fleck. Got them at number 14. They had a losing record last year. First time in a non-COVID year. Max Brosmer is going to be their quarterback. He's an FCS guy from New Hampshire. Can he play in the Big Ten? I don't know. And number 15, UCLA. Deshaun Foster, new coach, starting over, everything new. Chip Kelly out, Deshaun Foster in. Don't forget, they got Eric Bieniemy. People forget that, an offensive coordinator. Ethan Garbers at quarterback. I don't know. And the defense starting over. I think it's going to be a long year for UCLA. Northwestern, David Braun, that great year he had last year, taking over. He's had a complete off season now to run things there, but then they had a big hiccup. Starter Brendan Sullivan, he was going to be the starter at quarterback, I think, hit the transfer portal last week. Plus, they don't have a home. They're playing on a practice field, a makeshift practice field on campus this year. Going to be interesting to see how the season plays out. Got Indiana, number 17. Kurt Cignetti has a big job coming in there, trying to turn things around. He'll do it with quarterback transfer Curtis Rourke. In Purdue at number 18 at the bottom, Hudson Card, the quarterback coming back for his second year, that old transfer from Texas. Lost wide receiver Deion Burks. Ryan Walters, second year, is going to be tough. Only won 4 games last year, and I've looked at their schedule, and it's brutal. It's a toughie, no doubt. All right, there you have it. My power rankings. Feel free to agree or disagree. Did I slight your team? Did I have a team too high? Let me know. Curious to hear what you think on that. There are many ways for you to reach out to me. There's Twitter or X at TalkBig10, number 10. There's our website, TalkBig10, number 10.com. And of course, here on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe. That helps us out. Always ask you to subscribe. It's free. Boom, click of a button. And then we're together in our Big Ten Club. Subscribe and follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app, and you'll get the latest episode of Lockdown Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every morning. Feel free to watch another episode of Lockdown Big Ten. I would love to have you. Just reel off a couple of them and tell your friends about us, especially if they're Big Ten alum. Also, don't forget, you can check out our friends from Locked On at Locked On Sports Today, a 24/7 sports streaming channel just for you on YouTube as well. Carries our program on there from time to time as well. So I hope you enjoyed it. I don't want to say I dumbed it down because you guys are smart. There's a complicated issue that we talked about starting off this podcast with all this revenue sharing and how college football is changing before our very eyes. That lawsuit, home versus the NCAA, it's going to be something that you're going to have to pay attention to because it's going to affect a lot of stuff going on in college football. House versus the NCAA is a big deal. And the Big Ten and the SEC, they're not going to sit around and just wait for it to happen. They're going to figure out a way out of this, and we'll be all over it right here. Got our eye out on everything. Lawsuits, money, TV, football, basketball, portal players. We got it all. So we're glad you're a part of us. Thank you for visiting us today. Can't wait till we talk again tomorrow. Tell your friends about us. Lockdown Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman. Thanks for watching.